Second.
Woohoo! What's going on?
I don't have my glasses on, all I saw was that big white dot. I was like, what the fuck's
Sick! Hello, welcome to the anime review show.
Hello, welcome to Callum's crotch. And Alan's crotch.
Oh, well, I think that's pretty much introduced that.
No, it's
Fucking wasting my crotch.
I don't ever put it in your...
Let's be looking at you. Yeah!
I thought you had something on your jeans, alright? Anyway, right, Alan. Yeah.
This one?
Yep.
Hello and welcome to Secret Vlog X, the internet review show where anime is serious business. Joining me again this week are...
Alan.
Craig.
Oh, you had to go there.
He's not even here and I've not even met him and you're sticking about
I miss Craig.
I miss Craig
We all
too.
miss Craig.
Thank you.
So yeah.
We're waiting for you.
Sorry, yeah.
Episode quadruple.
So in this episode we will be discussing Cowboy Bebop episodes 4 through 6. Shall we crack on with episode 4, or should I in fact remind people first that we would encourage you to watch along with us during this experiment, and we would like you to post any impressions that you may have of these episodes in the form of a video response through the medium of dance.
Or any impressions.
That's right. That's true.
Not just impressions of Cowboy Bebop, just impressions.
Yeah, just
Good ones. Just for walking.
The medium of dance is getting somewhat tired. I think the medium of meat would be more interesting. Just go down to some butchers, get some cold cuts and just...
I kind of picture that being like you put like half a sausage in one figure and half a sausage in the other one. You'd be like little puppets.
That would be brilliant. I will actually. I will send money to it. It's the perfect crime. Right.
So in any case, in episode 4 is Gateway Shuffle. In this episode, Spike and Jet's latest bounty is I don't think it is their latest bounty at the beginning, but effectively they tangle with a group of eco-terrorists who are holding Ganymede's government to ransom with a bizarre virus. Now, the virus, as Callum pointed out earlier, is based on the hard-hitting documentary Planet of the Apes, in that it basically turns people into apes.
They look a bit like Ron Jeremy.
And as I was saying before, like I saw real parallels, excuse me, I've still got a bad cold, real parallels between this and Laputa Castle in the Sky, with the mother figure of all the bandits and their relationship with her children, who aren't really her children, I would imagine, because she just basically goes, nah.
Well, I mean, again, I was interested that you would pick up on that, because as I said before, that I feel that personally I saw it more as being kind of akin to Mom and Her Sons and Futurama, but again, it's interesting that you do pick that out as it's kind of like an inverted version of the relationship between the mother figure and the younger pirates in Laputa, and that they're portrayed as being quite a happy family unit, whereas these guys are evil and disenfranchised.
But also Laputa, is the sort of central theme of like sort of environmentalism and that sort of
that's
idea
quite a
as
good
well.
point, because these being eco-terrorists, they are quite involved in the cause of saving the sea rats, who have become a delicacy in Ganymede's restaurants.
Tasty.
Oh yeah. And I think this is quite an interesting kind of aim for them to have, because I mean they're vicious killers, but at the same time they're obsessed with saving these kind of ridiculous animals.
Yeah, they wear the kind of equivalent of comedy Saddam Hussein masks,
Yes.
which are only good for making kind of drunken political points and robberies.
Yes.
Because the Ronald Reagan mask, who knows him anymore, let's be honest, it's kind of a bit of context.
I know, saw him last week. It's a different Ronald Reagan, but...
Oh, yeah. Oh, you mean, wee Ronnie Reagan.
Wee Ronnie Reagan.
He's mental,
Wee Ronnie Reagan. Always talking about his Star Wars programme. Crazy bastard.
He'll go far.
Oh, aye.
Probably be president someday. But But yeah, no, I really like the masks that they have in this because they're just like wee sort of mousy faces with the tails, and they're quite adorable for terrorists to have while they're waving machine guns around, And,
Yeah.
I mean, it should be said this for all this is quite a comical episode. At the same time, it's quite violent, and there's quite a few dark elements in it. Particularly the fate of one of the sons, I think, who is. Probably not say too much, but is used as a test pilot for the drug in a way.
But his own mum.
Yeah.
But that's what I was saying. That
Family values.
She doesn't really give a shit about her family.
No, that's a fair point. I mean, I don't know why, but I was just quite amused by the name of the leader as well. I mean, Twinkle Maria Murdoch. I mean, that's quite a handle for terrorists to have these days. It's.
Or she had some really, really devious and evil parents.
What are you going to call your daughter, Mr. and Mrs. Maria Murdoch? Well, we were thinking Twinkle. But,
So what did you think?
Thumbs. What did I think? So let's go back to the actual start. We start on Faye Valentine, who just recently kind of fucked everybody over. She gets her comeuppance. Rather stylish spacesuits. Again, another spacesuit in Bebop that doesn't have any kind of oxygen tank. It's just kind of a fairly cool looking helmet and basically a lycra suit. It looks like a motorbike, like they were on a motorbike or something.
That's a good point.
And this brings on again to my question of, is Faye Valentine's shorts buttoned up? Is she on screen?
Sadly, she's not.
She's not.
Oh no! In fact,
But
there's this. That brings me back to the point I was making earlier. That they have a sign.
Years.
Yes.
Sorry, I just completely cut you off. But they have a sign in German with Die Simaus on it. Which I'm going to read in true Hans Gruber fashion. Shoot the glass. So, but I will not go down that route.
Could it be that? Sorry, I was still on it Werner Herzog there.
But I say that like I know. But it's just I kind of felt that between the animal masks and the sign in German that they were maybe kind of alluding slightly to the famous graphic novel Mouse with its anthropomorphic depictions of the Second World War. But sorry, I'm completely derailing your point.
Yeah, I was just
talking about pants.
Yes.
And I'm talking about serious political allegory.
Yeah, something coming into a serious point. Whereas, no, I don't have any serious points whatsoever.
No.
That does sound like the door. So,
right, let's go.
Let's finish up episode 4. There's a fucking awesome ending to it. When you see the kind of true capabilities of the swordfish for the first time, and they manage to kind of rapidly jump out the gate in time. It's pretty awesome. Want to say anything else about number 4?
Well, I wasn't sure if you wanted to come back to Faye's
hot pants.
Yes, Faye's button. That sounds really sinister, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah. No, we were just
Callum's all of a sudden turned into Paul Daniels for some reason. Yeah, the worst magician ever. Pick a card. Any card. Was it that one?
That's right. Clearly.
Better than Rod Hull with the EU. Right, okay, so second episode, I guess.
Ah, yes. I was just about to say, shall we move on to episode 5?
Yes.
Coffee only.
So, episode 5, Ballad of Fallen Angels. In this episode, we get our first introduction to Spike. Yes, no. We get our first introduction to Vicious, the assassin. He'll be immensely relevant later on, and for this reason, it's maybe going to be a bit.
Is it? Sorry though. Was he not introduced in like episode 2? Is this not like the proper introduction? Was there not a flashback in the second episode?
The very first episode it starts off with a flashback.
Oh right, okay. The first episode then.
There is, but you don't
get a real introduction to him until this episode. No, you're right.
But my point anyway was just that it may be difficult for Callum and I to say too much about this one because we
obviously not aware of it.
Yeah, exactly. But just to kind of give it a short summary, the episode begins with a pair of mob bosses kind of coming to a sort of truce agreement of sorts, and only it doesn't come to fruition when an assassin, Vicious, comes in and wastes both of them. A bounty subsequently appears on the head of one of the mob bosses, and Spike seems incredibly interested in this for reasons he is not at liberty to divulge. And it also seems suggested that Spike is interested in this for more than just monetary gain. So...
I think this is hands down the best episode out of the first 6 that we've watched.
Alan doesn't agree.
Yeah,
no, he doesn't. Why? How would we know that? How would we know that?
Have we been here before?
For 4
Maybe.
times?
In the before time. But yes. No, I mean, I'm not sure I would agree. I think it depends what you want out of the series as much as anything.
It's the most self-contained episode, it's the most cinematic. It's the first episode to really make me feel like there's going to be maybe a certain level of depth to the show. The fact that I remember watching the very first episode, when you're talking about like the flashback that's like right at the start of the first episode, and you don't know what the hell's going on. It's like just sort of, it looks like film noir or something that just, that you don't know what it is that you're watching. And to see elements of that in this episode, you start to realise that there's something sort of going on. I think the, spoiler alert, the conclusion in the sort of cathedral is just fantastically well made, and yeah, it just has a real level of polish in it, and it feels like it's paying real homage to like things like westerns and revenge thrillers and films of that type.
Well, I mean, I think we kind of touched on before that this is something kind of quite strong John Woo kind of influence the action scenes in this episode, and I mean, I think particularly this is probably referencing Killer with the shootout in the church at the climax of that film. But yeah, the action scenes in this one are very well handled when you read about that.
But it has an emotional resonance as well at
Like
the end
Tango
of
and
it.
Cash.
Yeah, just like Tango and Cash, only not as emotionally resonant as Tango and Cash, obviously, and not as good.
But it's still got that kind of brother kind of complex.
It's got that at the end when Spike's sort of falling out of the window, and you're getting flashes of other people, and like you said before, it goes on for like an eternity. But there's an emotionality to that. There's you don't know what's going on, but you feel as if there's a real importance, because there's this sort of like dead expression on his face as he's falling, and it's almost as if he's sort of like looking back over his life as he's falling.
It's like the first real hint at Spike's kind of semi-immortality. He's like almost a bit
he's semi-immortal.
No, right, but he's very Captain Scarlet, right? You know, like shit happens to him and he comes back.
Cary Grant.
Hey.
Hello, darling. Captain Scarlet. Captain Scarlet was Cary Grant.
No, he wasn't.
That's who he was modelled on.
No, he was modelling Captain Scarlet.
The voice was meant to be
What,
Cary
he had
Grant.
a hat,
Was
a red
There's a
hat.
guy who was doing
No,
an
it wasn't. It's a
impersonation of
scarlet
Cary
hat.
Grant.
I did not know that.
It wasn't Cary Grant. It was Captain Scarlet.
This is the voice of the Mr. Hans. Sorry.
You're taking a serious issue and you're belittling it. Jump cut. So, I mean, let's look at Faye in this episode.
Yeah, let's.
Alright. Jugs. So yeah, basically Faye, other than the fact that she's kind of saves Spike at the end, not that that's a big task, let's be honest. I think she was pretty keen to get herself out of there, but she's very much out for herself in this, and we've seen a lot of that before, but we've seen a lot of her we see kind of the way she goes about it in this episode more, whereas the ones before it, she was kind of, like, it was kind of, she was conniving, she was doing her own thing, but it was, you never really got a full sample of what she could do, and in this one, when she's kind of infiltrating the place with an invitation and everything, you've got this kind of flavour of what she's up to.
You're going to get maybe more of a feeling of how capable she is as a character in this one,
But yeah, I think this definitely does pave the way. It's one of those episodes that kind of links it all together and kind of starts the story off, because like we said before, Bebop's very self-contained. You can watch most of the episodes on their own, but there is that odd one that does just kind of push it past the next level.
Well, I mean, this is why it surprised me, Mike, that you were saying that you felt this was the most self-contained one yet, because I mean, I would say that this is like the one that most indicates that there's going to be something beyond self-contained half hours.
Well, yeah, it does, but I think that it's if this was a standalone, half-hour short film, right? and that's all it was.
Mm.
I think that you don't need to know it. Sometimes it's great when a story just hints that there's a lot more new imagination can fill in the rest, you know. And I think that's what this episode does.
I mean, for the first one, but
What a dick.
Lesson. Should we segue then?
yeah. Well, actually, I think just before we move on, I feel we should maybe mention briefly the music in this one, which I think is possibly alluding quite heavily to Guns N' Roses with their video for November Rain. There is quite a strong kind of rock element to this one.
Prefer Purple Rain personally, but
Well, possibly that as well, because there was quite a
Prince is
purple
great,
hue.
isn't
I
it?
prefer Purple Vein.
What a sexy motherfucker.
Sorry.
Prince.
Prince?
That's one of his songs as well.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd drop that in there.
He
That's
did,
very
he did
witty.
the Batman album. I mean,
Sexy motherfucker.
what more could you do?
What more
for
could
a
you
man?
add? That's true. See, when you read the back of it, other than obviously Danny Elfman's main track, you read the back, you go, Prince? Prince? That guy in the purple suit? No way!
Well, there's
They
that-
did.
There's that scene in Batman where Jack Nicholson actually, says, "Oh, let's get some Prince on" or something to that
He
effect.
says, gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Yeah, and put some Prince and starts
It's party
wrecking
man,
an art.
Party man.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Strange.
1989 Batman's amazing.
Right, okay, let's...
Yeah, shall we move on to episode 6? Which I can't remember the name of.
it's Sympathy for the Devil.
Sympathy for the Devil, that's right, yeah.
2 points.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Again, a bit of a Rolling Stones reference going on, I think.
That's true. They do alright out of them. They do alright.
But I think this is quite a dark episode, this one. Cause,
Let's talk about how it starts.
Hmm?
Sorry, but the operating table thing, the kind of thing you drew my
Of course,
attention to.
yeah. There's another flashback scene in this, and I think at first it's a little bit ambiguous because you're not terribly sure who it is that you're seeing this from the point of view of, whether it's the main character in this episode, or in fact if it's Spike. And I believe they do actually show that it's Spike.
Spike comes in and he's wearing like sleeping. He's wearing like a sleeping mask and he wakes up in this kind of jazz club, but he's got kind of like a disorientated look, not just like a kind of like a woken up type look, almost like he's kind of slightly out of it. Like I don't know if he's kind of been taking something a bit lucid. I mean, it is like a jazz club that he's in, so I don't know whether he's been, on those mushrooms all those kids talk about.
A wee jazz woodbine.
But you get that feeling from him that something's just not 100%.
Yeah.
But then just after that, he's speaking to Jet quite happily. But the thing is with Spike, he's so fucking horizontally laid back that it's like you can't tell whether he's off his tits or like
You.
I mean.
I saw a snail crawling across a stretch razor. Sorry.
So we talked.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, perhaps run through the episode briefly, that it involves, well, at the beginning of the episode we see Spike and Jet lose their latest bounty when he falls from the window of a tower block, apparently having been double crossed by an old partner and his harmonica playing son.
Let's bring in the names of these characters.
Well, yes, we have a giraffe and we have a zebra.
Good
Brilliantly
names.
named
Good
giraffe
going out,
and
that's
zebra,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Someone else got tapier. he was only in administration.
You don't want to know about Lemur, stuff he got up to.
Dirty bastard.
Can I apologise for these jokes? These anime-based jokes.
They're crackers.
But yeah, but it soon transpires that it is in fact the child who is the real enemy here. That the boy Wen.
That's not a broad statement, by the way.
Child
We're not saying
is the enemy.
go out and kill your kid. Village of the Damned was a documentary.
You mean it wasn't?
Shit.
But effectively
You blocked your mind, Alan.
brick wall.
Think of a brick wall. Nowadays, though, the kind of such shoddy construction.
You realise that this is the second time
We've segued.
that we've actually referenced Village of the Damned.
Yeah, no.
It actually is. That's the weird thing. But I think this is becoming tradition now, effectively. But,
So the child is the enemy.
the child is the enemy.
Tradition including the beating of the Michael.
But effectively, the boy Wen is actually an 80-year-old man trapped forever in the unaging body of a child.
Michael Jackson.
Ooh,
That's right.
this close to satire. Not nice to speak ill of the dead,
Mention
by the way.
Steve Jobs next. Let's not. That's a shame.
When you say he was inside the body of a child.
Oh, you had to go there. You had.
What? What? Oh, that's your dirty mind, Darren. That's absolutely scandalous. Anyway, continue.
Well, yeah, no, I think as I was saying already, this is probably one of the darkest for my money anyway. This has got to be one of the darkest episodes so far.
Not a huge amount to say about it though.
Can I say something? Can I drop an absolute bombshell on you?
You didn't like this one.
I was watching this episode, and during it, I had a moment of clarity when I realised I've seen Cowboy Bebop before.
Really?
I've at least seen this. I've at least seen bits of this episode.
That's interesting.
I'm sorry. I know.
No. Explain.
I don't know. I recognised it. So
Maybe the fact you've seen like another 5 episodes previous.
no.
I've seen
like,
this show
like,
before.
like-
Am I doing
No,
this
I
for
knew-
some kind of
I knew-
internet show? Is it?
I knew what the twist to the story was, and all that, and like I just recognised it. And I think did they used to show Cowboy Bebop on like late night on like a Channel 4?
Well, I don't know. I don't think it was on Channel 4.
Cartoon Network had it.
Well, yeah, I think the Cartoon Network had
So
it
was
at
it
one
not
point.
well?
And
I don't know. I just like I'm sure I've seen this episode.
It's quite possible, yeah. It's, I don't know if this may actually be referring to something else. I'm not terribly sure. You know,
There's
because
also what I was trying to remember as well. There's also an anime film that we did in double feature that has a character that looks very similar to him.
Well,
Was
might-
it in
racist?
Akira?
well, possibly. Well, maybe. But what I was going to say is that maybe subliminally what you're thinking here is that he is dressed done this something? But maybe I don't know, subliminally that you maybe picked up that he's dressed exactly like Lupin. I
Right.
don't know if you noticed that, but he's not. Yeah.
He's a little bit poorly.
Tablets for that.
He'll be alright. Just pour some sawdust on him.
Well, as I was just saying, I think Wen, for reasons I'm not entirely sure of, is dressed exactly like Lupin III. And it was something that I really meant to mention when we were discussing the last episode, actually, that a lot of people do say that the dynamic of, Spike, Jet and Faye is based on Lupin, Jigen and Fujiko and Lupin III.
Yeah, we should actually drop in a little reference to that Italian fan Lupin we did, which was actually surprisingly well cast.
Yeah.
I don't entirely agree with that though, because Fujiko, there's a slight element of there, but Spike shows absolutely no interest in Faye in comparison to Lupin.
Yeah, who is absolutely obsessed with Fujiko.
But there's a slight.
He's a bit of a deviant.
There's a sort of like I don't want her here, but yes, you can stay.
Well, yeah, I think
You know, and it's.
yeah.
So I sort of read from that, especially going back to the previous episode, that it was that he was part of a group, and some of them, at least some of them, are all gone, and that maybe he just doesn't want to get close to people again. So he's just
I think he
like-
just doesn't want this image of 2 men, a dog, and a ship. I think having the woman there is quite key.
Is that how they replaced Charlie Sheen 2.5 minutes?
Yeah.
2 men.
2 men, a
Keep,
dog, and
keep
a
going.
ship.
I've noticed that we're just on the credits here, so keep talking. I'm just going to turn another episode on.
Well,
Hi Alan.
what? I've completely forgotten what I was going to say next time.
Keep talking. It's fine.
I enjoyed this episode, but yeah, it was just it was a strange thing, like, sort of watching it and thinking I'm sure I've seen this. For some reason, I've got an image of sitting watching this episode in my brother's room when maybe he was out on like a sort of Friday or Saturday night or something like that, and I was a bit younger, and I would like sneak through his room and like use his computer and his CDs and all that, and he had this wee TV, and I just have this image of the
Watching
kid
it on that.
being on it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I sat and watched the whole thing, but like I certainly think I watched
That's
part
what
of
I
it.
got
I think that's a good point. I mean...
It's a good point.
No, I was trying to breach back into the conversation completely and utterly subtly there. No one even noticed the bridge. Yeah, I mean...
There isn't a lot to say about this episode.
There's
you're
not,
right.
there really isn't a lot.
Especially in
What's
comparison
going
to-
on the screen?
It's everyone's favourite film, Boss Nigger. It's a rootin' tootin' good time about a black cowboy and his friend Amos.
What are you doing? How can we possibly?
That's fine. It's not copyright.
No, don't.
Is it public domain?
I'm broadening people's minds.
Boss.
But you just
Oh, look at that.
Was this like an
but
exploitation?
you're a white man and you just said nigger.
No, I didn't.
Yes,
I
you did.
Well,
referenced the title of that film.
So
I know.
technically.
Oh, that's alright.
Google it. You should go and watch it. It's an interesting find.
Is it an exploitation western?
It is an exploitation western.
What's going on?
You should go on. Well, you know, we mentioned
I
western.
like the aging effect on him when he died, and I did like the fact that when Spike was sort of chasing him down and all that again you got this real sort of feeling that Spike's pretty damn athletic and quick, and maybe there's something a little bit.
Well,
weird
again,
going on
that could be something that they're alluding to again with the surgery, that perhaps Spike has been a little bit enhanced. But no, I think it's good. It's interesting that you mentioned that he goes back to find the kid, because I mean I think that there was the earlier part where Spike says he doesn't he hates kids, but he does go back to try and help Wen, and unfortunately in the end the only way that he can achieve this is to shoot him in the head. Which is there's an interesting kind of element of it's a kind of strange bit of science fantasy in a way, that the way to end this sort of ageless young boy is to shoot him in the head with a gemstone.
The funny thing is that the whole idea about because I thought the whole scene where he's like standing with his family and it was really quite sad. He's watching this cataclysm happen. And that's obviously what's affected him.
I know the kind of image of the burned out husk on top line, him sheltering underneath the burned out body of someone else.
It's like I really liked just the way that was all put together. But I have to say, the whole idea of like a child who's really an adult, who's like really a lot older than everybody else, it felt kind of in some ways like an original Star Trek episode. Sort of with that. Sort
There's
of
potentially this kind of metaphorical, kind of old before their time type. Like as well, like the kind of like the wisdom and the kind of weariness, I guess, of an older man has now been put on this boy with all that he's kind of seen over the course of 80 years, which doesn't really make him a boy. But
well, I mean, I don't know, maybe sort of visually you do have a kind of reference back to Akira in a way, with the kind of aged children and that, the psychic kids in that film. Again,
that's why I was thinking about Akira.
And again, you've got the kind of the sort of rapid aging effect at the end, and after Wen does age, he does look a lot like one of the kids in Akira, I think. But again, it's quite a dark moment now when you do see him. Kind of live all his years in one go like that.
Yeah.
So up next is how many episodes are we doing in the next one?
Well, we'll be going through 7, 8 and 9, yep.
Good episodes?
Yeah.
I don't know, I haven't seen them. Looking forward to it, and hopefully there won't be nearly as long a duration until the next time. Hopefully we'll do the next episode in the next week or two.
Yeah.
We'll try and get these up, because it would be good to get Cowboy Bebop done, and then you can move on and we can do some other series and things like that as well.
Sure.
We should actually do a series of videos on blaxploitation. I think it's an untapped genre.
As long as we can do Blackula, I'm down for that.
That's fine.
We can
Stay tuned.
That sounds awesome.
Next week, our favourite exploitation films.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, viewers.
Mr. McPhail won't be joining us for the rest of his life. Sorry.